All right, the party's over for Airbnb renters. The company said yesterday that its temporary ban on parties and other large, noisy events is now permanent.
The overdue collapse of short-term rentals. All over social media, from Facebook to Twitter to Reddit, short-term rental owners all over the world have continued to lament about how their bookings have come to a screeching halt, complaining loudly on the internet with the hashtag #AirBnBust. Now, what is the problem with the much glorified short-term rentals, and why is it so serious? Before we get into that, be sure to like this video and also subscribe to this channel.
So we are looking around and are saying, what can we do right away that makes more homes available?
I've put all my savings into my unit. I'm following all the rules, paying all the taxes, buying the business license.
I just uncovered a massive amount of debt that Airbnb hasn't paid. On the books that they're hiding. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, possibly even $1 billion plus of debt that they have not paid.
If you never knew this, short-term rentals are hot. There's no denying it. They were hot before COVID, but COVID definitely fueled the frenzy with more people working remotely from home and homeschooling their children. Now it seems like everyone wants one. Over the years, people have come to accept short-term rentals as a great investment option and an awesome addition to their rental portfolios. This is because, in addition to the potential for plenty of cash flow, short-term rentals also offer incredible tax benefits, which allow you to shelter your income. Imagine making tens of thousands of dollars and at the same time hiding all of your income to pay zero taxes. Sounds like a perfect deal, right? Well, with so many people getting into the short-term rental game, it's not so perfect anymore. In fact, it is now slowly becoming a death trap, which is why short-term rental owners are angry. I know you're curious about where it all went wrong, but before we get into that, let's see how the whole thing began in the first place. It all began with people who wanted to escape their everyday homes for a holiday experience and still did not have enough for a hotel. Some people, on the other hand, had the money to pay for hotels, but hardly found a space in the hotels close to where they came for conferences and workshops. Then came vacation rentals to the rescue. The first online platform to enable vacation or short-term rental bookings was Vacation Rentals by Owner, VRBO. The platform launched in 1995, and soon it developed a website that allowed users to browse and book various vacation rental properties that were managed by their individual owners. A year later, in 1996, another short-term rental company was founded, which would soon be known as one of the giants in the rental industry. It was known as Booking.com and was founded in the Netherlands. But amazing as it wasn't the future of short-term rentals. As online lodging companies continue to grow, the industry birthed a new baby, the biggest till date, Airbnb. Airbnb came onto the scene as a small San Francisco startup in 2008. While the previous companies offered various forms of vacation rentals and hotel bookings for short stays, Airbnb was the first company to allow guests to book a single room in a host's house and pay using a credit card over the internet. Over the years, the company grew dramatically, going from 10,000 users and 2,500 listings in March of 2009 to the current estimates of around 150 million users and over 6 million listings around the world. Since then, travelers have widely adopted short-term rentals as an alternative, even when hotel rooms are available. This has resulted in one of the hottest arms of the sharing economy in history. Over the years, short-term rentals have yielded 30% more profits for homeowners, investors than long-term leases, with an estimated global market valuation of $169 billion in 2018 alone. The payouts seemed unbelievable, especially when annual holidays like Christmas and New Year came around. This was when things started to get messy. Many millennials quickly saw the industry as a get-rich-quick opportunity and started listing their spare rooms and properties across Airbnb and Booking.com as side gigs. And eventually, they became full-time, new-age property managers who achieved financial independence and business owner status by building sustainable businesses off this growing trend. But they weren't the only ones who saw an opportunity. Anyway, the bottom line is Airbnb is now empty. No, it's not because people do not want to travel, and it's definitely not because there are no homes. The reason, according to market analysis, is that many U.S. Airbnbs are sitting empty because so many wealthier people and investors listed short-term rentals on the site in the wake of a pandemic-fueled boom. In fact, in September 2022, the number of available short-term rental listings in the U.S. skyrocketed to 1.38 million. That's a 23.2% year-over-year increase. What this invariably means is that hosts are feeling the pinch of a high supply market, and consumers are sure to get better deals with the plenty available options even after the soaring prices for lodging. You see, 2021 was a bumper year for short-term rentals in the US, thanks to pent-up demand after lockdown giving a huge boost to domestic travel. But now, supply has increased to catch up to and even overtake demand growth, pushing occupancy down as bookings are spread across more properties. This is partially due to the number of wealthier homebuyers who purchased a second home since the start of the pandemic, fueled by then low interest rates, extra savings, and the ability to work from anywhere, making white-collar workers turn out in droves to buy vacation properties in the last 2 years. Another challenge the short-term rental market is facing is that it has become a risky investment, much more risky than long-term ones. Unlike typical tenants, visitors for short-term stays are not thoroughly checked and investigated. Watch this. For long-term rentals, landlords perform background checks on the tenants, including credit and employment history, references from previous landlords, and so on. Even though this is not a 100% guarantee for getting a good tenant, homeowners can still put all the chances on their side and be sure, to some extent, that the tenants won't give them problems. But when it comes to short-term rentals, landlords have little control over who they can rent to, which is why recently some home-sharing platforms have developed a review system that allows previous homeowners to share their experience with each guest as well as identify verification systems. In spite of this, the system is still biased and ineffective compared to traditional background checks. Another big disadvantage of short-term rentals is the lack of income predictability. When compared with regular rentals, short-term rentals have a significantly higher vacancy rate. The majority of guests stay in the same property for a couple of nights at the most, often leaving the property empty for several days before the next check-in, especially in the off-season. Last-minute cancellations are also frequent, which could be really frustrating. This has made property owners to rely on higher nightly rates to cover the expenses. However, as many of them have found out, travelers can be really unpredictable, making it impossible to predict income. One challenge homeowners have come to admit is that short-term rentals are actually more time-consuming than traditional rentals. This is because, after each reservation, the property needs to be thoroughly cleaned and restocked all over again. Not forgetting that replying to dozens of bookings inquiries or other questions can turn into a full-time job if there's no system in place. It wouldn't have been such a huge problem if short-term rental owners were the only ones affected by the supply surge. But apparently, everyone is dancing to the music, regular landlords and home seekers alike. It is true that buying a home has always been a huge expense that many middle-income folks can't afford until they find a partner that also has a job and has 2 incomes. So yeah, real estate is expensive to buy, but people are still able to afford it after years of savings and living in rented apartments. So maybe the problem is not that homes are expensive. Maybe the real problem is that people can no longer find affordable housing, especially rentals, thanks to the rapid growth of short-term rentals. This is because now, thousands of apartments that could have been rented to locals have been turned into vacation rentals for tourists. It's a huge problem, especially seeing that working people can't afford to buy and even find a place to rent. So now, long-term rentals are scarce. and buying a home is unthinkable, and people don't know what to do. This is the current dilemma in the housing industry, and we all know who is responsible. Yet, short-term rental owners are facing a terrible lack of patronage that is collapsing the market. The question is, will the collapse of short-term rentals save the housing industry? We'll see. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Also be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And remember, where money matters, we'll see you on the next one.